So when you are dealing with honoring God in the context of giving, it's important to understand how God sees giving, so that you will not just grow materially, but you will also grow in relationship with God. And there are 5 covenants. The first covenant of giving that God opened up is what he had with Noah. In Genesis chapter 8, from verse 20 to verse 22. You know, before that time, in Genesis chapter 6, verse 5, God said, my spirit will no longer strive with man, for the imagination and thought of man is evil. So God had given up on the earth. Noah was the only righteous man. And so when the earth was destroyed, Noah prayed. And so God now decided, knowing fully well that the man that will still emerge will still be a man of the flesh, because the Holy Ghost had not yet come, he now decided to create a covenant that covers both the good and the evil. This covenant does not have any relationship with God. It is God's universal expression of love and benevolence. In fact, God said, Jesus teaching now, and he said that God causes the sun to shine both on the good and the evil, and he causes the rain to fall both on the righteous and the unrighteous. That is God's benevolence. So it's righteous or wrong, those are universal expressions of the love of God. And so what God did through Noah was to allow his love be with man, so that man will no longer be destroyed. Because if God does not activate this covenant, his anger will still destroy man. But he didn't want to destroy man again. So he gave a seal of the rainbow, that so long as you see the rainbow, know that my mercy is with humankind. And he now gave us a principle. Since we no longer have a relationship with him, he gave us a principle that seed time and harvest shall not cease. That means when a man gives, he will receive. Not because he has a relationship. God has already concluded that the man is evil. His imagination is evil. But he doesn't want to destroy the evil man. The only way he can get the man to survive and to subdue the earth and to dominate the earth is through a technology of giving and receiving. And so when a man is giving, he will be blessed. Not because God accepts the offering, but because God has decided to create a law that makes for this man to prosper, even though he has no relationship with him. That was what God opened to humankind. Now, there are 2 dimensions to this reality. The first is that Christians don't take advantage of it. And so when we are teaching and we want to encourage Christians, we let them know that if you don't take advantage of this position, they won't. And so if you want to prosper, it's important for you to take advantage of this position. If a politician gives, he will prosper. If a Yahoo person gives, he will prosper. If a thief gives, he will prosper. And you need to know that this giving is not just church. Because it's not only church you give to and prosper. The Bible says, he that giveth to the poor shall not lack. He didn't say God will bless him. So there are various kinds of giving. All of that was designed because God had seen humankind that the imagination of their heart is continually evil and he can no longer strive with them. So in order not to destroy the world again and for man to continually dominate the earth, let the man have a system that will preserve him until he comes into relationship. But now that he's not yet in relationship, he should prosper by this system. And many people hear things like this and they will tell you that no, if a wicked man gives, it's an abomination. Do you know that the prayer of the wicked man is also an abomination? How did all of us get saved? Is it not by praying to God? So you don't pick scriptures and interpret it in an isolated context. The laws God gave through Noah is so that both good and evil will be preserved. But God didn't stop there. So the first side of this truth is that we encourage believers to do it. Because this law have no regard for whether you are righteous or unrighteous. So if you don't do it, you will pray but you'll still be poor. You will fast but you'll still be poor. Now, the second dimension to this reality is the dimension of caution. Caution because if you teach only this, your church will become a carnal church. That's why today, all our teaching on giving is give and it shall be given unto you. And the more people are giving, the more they are becoming carnal. Because we are assuming that because the people are giving, God accepts them. God doesn't accept you just because you gave. You can give and God doesn't accept you. and your offering, it is rejected. I hope you've heard me say here many times that if a politician gives and we know he's a thief, we say take your money. If a thief gives, we say get out. God is interested in you first. Are you following me? But you need to understand that anybody that gives, it shall be given unto him. That's the law of the spirit realm. And you don't only give in church, you give to the poor, you give for societal development. All of that have their benefit. And God designed this because man is evil. Now, after God made this provision, God now moved to the Abrahamic covenant. The Abrahamic covenant also has giving because the lesser is included in the greater. But in the Abrahamic covenant, you don't just give and receive. In addition to your giving, there must be an element of faith. So God will accept your giving only if you believe in him. If you don't believe in him, he will not accept your giving. So God has come into the equation. Now, I'm not just interested in you prospering. I'm also interested in your person. And so I want you to know me and to believe in him. So when God was dealing with Abraham, even though Abraham was giving, what God was looking out for was what? The faith in Abraham's heart. And the way God sealed that covenant was through circumcision. That means he compelled Abraham to deny the world. This is why when the king of Sodom wanted to give Abraham all his possession, he said, I will not take a latchet from you, lest you say you made Abraham rich. So in the Abrahamic order, which is superior to the Noahic order, your giving must be predicated on faith and your circumcision to God. That means in the Abrahamic order, you can't be doing an unjust business and expect God to prosper you. For God to prosper you, you must be an honorable person doing an honorable job, because he's interested in how the money came before you gave in the first place. Are you following? At first, it began with general benevolence, but the idea is to bring you closer. Remember, in 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 3, the Bible said he has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him that called us to what? To glory and virtue. And he said he made us to become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. And so if we are teaching giving in church now, we will not only stop at the level of Noah, we will shift it to the level of Abraham, that you have to have faith in God, because you can give and not be blessed. Somebody met me and was lamenting. Why was he lamenting? He said he gave 1 million in church. They preached a message, he gave 1 million naira. 4 years later, he lost all his money. So he was wondering, how can he get his money back? Because they taught him giving from the standpoint of Noah. Give, it shall be given unto you. They didn't teach him that now he has come a bit higher, that when he gives, God is looking for his faith. If the faith element is not there, he won't be blessed. And God is also looking for his circumcision from the world. You can't be doing evil and still give and think God will prosper you. He won't. And the reason is because the moment you accepted Jesus, you implicated yourself. You have come into a higher relationship with God. If you didn't know Jesus, no problem. He would have prospered you because you're operating at the generic level. But now you have accepted Jesus. And so God is dealing with you on a higher standard. This is why you have to learn the whole spectrum. That God won't just bless you now because you gave. God will bless you now because you have faith and because you are separated from the world. And so if you are a thief, the Bible said in Ephesians chapter 4 verse 28, it says, him that stole should steal no more, but walk with his hand that he may have to give. Are you seeing what God is doing? God is trying to win you before he accepts your offering. And then when you leave that level, you now come to the Mosaic covenant. In the Mosaic covenant, God does not only bless you now, God gives you his laws. Because he wants you to understand the culture of his realm. And so for God to accept Israel, they must walk according to the laws of God. You believe in God, that's fine, but keep his laws. If you don't keep his laws, you can't be blessed. And so you find Israel morning and evening, they are bringing sin offering, they are bringing burnt offering, so that because the law becomes the basis for righteousness, and none could keep it. And so God went further to the Davidic covenant. In the Davidic covenant, it was all about relationship. Your level of intimacy with God is what determines your prosperity. So you see that God began from a state where he looked as if he didn't care about your soul. Now he's bringing you deeper. He's demanding faith from you. He's demanding separation from the world. He's demanding obeying his law. He's demanding relationship. Because man couldn't keep it, God now decided to culminate it with the Messianic covenant. And so the Messianic covenant, the Bible said, it has a better set of promises. So what happens in the Messianic covenant is this, which is where I'm going to. In the Messianic covenant, Jesus was the one who was in covenant with God. You are not in covenant with God. You are an offspring of that covenant. And so God does not bless you because of anything. God blesses you now because he is your father. I am in a covenant with my wife called marriage. My son is not in any covenant with me. I bless my son because he's my offspring. If I tell my son that he must do something because before I bless him, I'm a bad father. I bless him because I brought him into this world. He's an offspring of the covenant that I have with my wife. And so, how does giving now translate to prosperity? Two things. Number one, when you give, it's a testimony of honor to God. And the Bible said in 1 Samuel 2:30, it says, him that honor me, I will honor. And him that despises me shall be lightly esteemed. I know most of us are still giving because we believe that give, it shall be given unto you. We have grown beyond that realm. Just the way some people still believe that until you do something, God won't heal you. We have gone beyond that realm. We have come to the realm now where we are joint heirs with Christ. And so when we give to God, it's a mark of honor to our Father. And a child who honors the Father is the child that the Father can entrust with all that belongs to him. So this is more of a relationship-based reality. Our relationship with God is what influences our giving. It's no longer a bargain. And so you can find many thieves in church who are giving. Their offering and themselves are not accepted. God is looking for lovers who will give on account of honor. And so when we put our seed on the altar, the first reason we give is because we honor God. And that's why now we don't even give carelessly. We give our all, we give our best, because both us and all we have now belongs to God, because we are his offspring. The second reason we give now is a testimony that our heart is with God. It's a where a man's treasure is, that's where his heart is. And so when you give to God, you are making a statement in the spirit that all your treasure is in God's kingdom. And because you have made that statement, every need you have becomes God's need. And so God pushes wealth to your direction because you are like a trust fund. He knows that all your treasure is in the kingdom. So whatever he gives to you is for kingdom advancement. This is how men operate in a world of no limit. It's a higher expression of faith. But many have not come here. They are still bargaining with God because they are operating at the Noahic covenant. Give, it shall be given unto you. And so you find many thieves giving. And they are giving, they are prospering, but they don't know God. They have no relationship with God. And it's in the day of trouble they will discover how naked they are. You can give like that and buy cars, buy lands. You will not only go to hell, but even on earth you will know that you are dry. You have no relationship with God. And the more you acquire wealth, the more unfulfilled you become. Because there's no relationship. The Noahic covenant have no relationship with God. Relationship with God begins from the Abrahamic covenant, through the Mosaic covenant, through the Davidic covenant, and it is culminated in the Messianic covenant. In the Messianic covenant, we become the offsprings of God. And so if you are still at that level where they still need to preach you into giving, you are a child. If you are at that level where they still need to motivate you into giving, you are a child. When you are coming to the house of God, you prepare your offering because you are going there to honor God. You don't, even when they forget to announce offering, you won't live there without giving. You will find out, where can I give to the Lord? And you will drop it there. If they say there is a project, a kingdom project, you jump in because you know that this is family matter. That's where my treasure is. So you participate wholeheartedly. When God finds people like this, he does not just bless them. He gives them the right to bring administration to the kingdom. And that's what makes them operate in the world of no limit. The reason you still find people struggling and bargaining, trying to give, do all kinds, they don't know God. Giving is a testimony of love. Giving is a testimony of honor. And giving is a testimony of awareness of kingdom responsibility. What God wants to do, I will do my best, because the jealousy of God is my priority. The purpose of God is my body. Is this what God wants to do? The moment you believe it, it becomes your motivation. You can go home and lose your sleep until that thing is actualized. Meanwhile, somebody else is still checking. The last one I gave, I have not received the reward. Are you sure these people are not scammers? All this message on giving now, these are thieves. Oh, they don't know anything. In the early church, the Bible said men sold their lands, their houses, and their possession, and they brought the money to the apostles' feet. What can motivate such? You have sold all your assets. What then are you waiting for God to bless you with? You have sold your house, you have sold your land, you have sold your possession. So what is the blessing? That means the blessing is something deeper than material asset. That's the man who has grown. He takes kingdom responsibilities. That's a man who loves God. His heart is in the kingdom. And that's a man who honors God. He doesn't want anything God says to fail. And so he will do his all to give. When God finds such a man, that man becomes a trust fund. Because God now knows that anything he wants to do on the earth, he can trust that man to do it. I told you before, when you believe in God, it's called faith. When God believes in you, it's called faithfulness. There is a limit to which you prosper by faith. But the highest realm of prosperity is not faith that brings it. It's faithfulness that brings it. That's why I say if you are faithful in little, you will be faithful in much. It's a thing of trust. You want to be powerful in this world, functioning as if there are no limitations. Giving is one of the precursors.